I never expected one forgotten laundry load would lead to mascara, high heels, and a life I couldn't escape. But once Mom saw me in her pink skirt, everything changed. My name is Jack, short for Jackson, but hardly anyone calls me that anymore. I'm 19 years old, tallish, lanky, and had always lived in a quiet corner of town with just my mom. My father passed away when I was 7, and ever since, it was just us. She was a former beauty consultant and now worked from home as an online makeup coach for older women. We lived in a cozy, almost too pink house, frilly curtains, soft florals on the walls, little details you'd expect from someone obsessed with beauty. I'd grown up surrounded by it, but never cared. I wore black hoodies, old sneakers, and kept to myself. I wasn't a rebel. I just wanted to stay invisible. But life has a strange sense of humor. It all began on a rainy Tuesday. I had tossed my clothes into the washer late at night, black jeans, a couple of t-shirts, socks. I didn't notice that Mom had already loaded a delicate wash cycle with her new pink lingerie set, a frilly silk robe, and a pastel pleated skirt. Next morning, I opened the dryer and everything was ruined. My black hoodie had turned a weird blush color. Her skirt had snagged. The lace on her robe was twisted. "Jax," she shouted from the hallway. I stood frozen, her destroyed clothes bunched in my arms. Her eyes went wide. "Do you even realize how expensive that was? That skirt was imported." I stammered. I didn't see it was in there, I swear." She didn't yell again. She just looked at me, then walked away. That silence was worse than any scolding. The next morning, something eerie happened. She knocked on my door holding a hanger, a perfectly pressed pink blouse, and a soft white skirt with a satin bow. "You're staying home today, right?" she asked, smiling. "Yeah." "Then wear this around the house." I blinked. "You want me to wear that?" "Why?" "Because you need to understand what you ruined," she said calmly. "Wear it, and I'll forgive the laundry mistake." I laughed awkwardly. "You're joking." But her eyes weren't joking. "I'm not."
"Put it on."
"Full outfit. Just for an hour." I hesitated. Arguing never worked with her. She was persuasive in ways I couldn't fight, always calm, always firm. "Fine," I muttered. I locked the door behind me and stared at the outfit laid across my bed. My hands trembled as I pulled off my shirt. The pink blouse was soft, light, and shockingly tight across my shoulders. The skirt flowed like air, hugging my waist. When I looked in the mirror, I felt ridiculous and strangely unrecognizable. She knocked on the door again. "Come out, I want to see." I cracked the door open. And that's when she smiled for the first time in 2 days. She said thoughtfully. "You know, you don't look bad at all." I wanted to change instantly, but she stopped me.
"Wait.
One more thing." She applied a light gloss to my lips, brushed my hair out of my face, and added a pink hairband.
"There," she said.
"Now I forgive you." I wanted to rip it all off, but I didn't. That evening, when I finally changed back into my regular clothes, I felt weirdly off, like I'd stepped out of someone else's dream. The air felt heavier. My skin tingled. I couldn't get the image out of my head, me in that skirt, standing still while Mom smiled like she'd waited years to see it. The next day, I expected things to go back to normal. They didn't. She left a small pink box on my bed with a note. "Try these too. You'll look even prettier. Mom kiss mark." Inside, a pair of beige tights, a training bra, and blush. I didn't touch them, but I didn't throw them away either. By the weekend, she had set up her vanity table in the living room and called me over. "Let me practice my lessons on you," she said. "It's for my subscribers." "What?" "No way. It's just foundation and concealer. I need someone with your skin tone." I refused. Then she pulled out her phone. "I'll deduct from your allowance." She wasn't playing around. That day, I sat under warm lights while she gently brushed, blended, and shaped. I hated how good she was. I hated how calm it felt. And most of all, I hated how she looked at me. Not like a son, like a canvas. "Mom, relax your face." Me. "This is embarrassing." "Mom, only if you fight it. You're lucky your features are soft." Most girls would kill for cheekbones like that. Me. I'm not a girl. Mom, smiling. You're not a girl right now, are you? She giggled. And that's when I realized this wasn't just some beauty lesson. This was her plan. Every day after that, it escalated. One day, it was try this headband. The next, wear these slippers, they match better. Then came the nail polish, the wig, the voice lessons, the shaving kit. I started avoiding mirrors. But it didn't help. I could see it in her eyes.
She had decided something.
And I had no say. Every morning after that felt like a quiet ambush. I'd wake up to find something laid out on the chair by my door, sometimes a pink camisole, sometimes a pair of pearl earrings, once even a pair of padded underwear that made my face burn with embarrassment just looking at it. But I didn't throw anything away.
I don't know why.
Maybe I thought if I played along just a little, she'd get bored. Maybe she'd stop.
She didn't.
One morning, I walked into the kitchen and froze. She had pulled out one of her mannequins, the kind she used in her online videos, and had dressed it head to toe in a full schoolgirl uniform. Pleated skirt, blazer, tights, flats, and a long dark wig. Cute, right? She asked casually, sipping her tea. I shrugged. What's it for? I was just thinking, maybe you could wear this for one of my tutorials. You know, play the part. No way, I said quickly. That's going too far. She smiled, the kind of smile that meant the conversation wasn't over. Well, I already tailored it to your size. That sent a chill through me. You took my measurements? You were asleep. I wanted to yell, to protest, but something about her calmness made it feel useless. Like I was already trapped in a game I didn't sign up for. Later that night, I stood in front of the mirror, wearing that exact uniform. The blazer hugged my shoulders in a way that made me stand straighter. The skirt swayed with every move. The tights clung to my legs like a second skin. I didn't recognize myself. And yet, I didn't look away either. She knocked softly. May I? I opened the door slowly. Her eyes lit up. You look precious. I mumbled. This is stupid. She stepped in, gently adjusted the wig on my head, and whispered, No, sweetheart. This is beautiful. And for a second, just 1 second, I believed her. That night I dreamed in pink. The next few weeks blurred into a routine I didn't admit I was part of. Mondays, blush and brows. Tuesdays, wardrobe swaps and mirror practice. Wednesdays, wig styling. Thursdays, feminine posture drills. Fridays, Femme Voice Fridays, she called it. Weekends, full dress up, head to toe. She was turning me into someone I didn't know. And weirdly, someone I couldn't stop becoming. We had conversations like this almost daily. Me, why are you doing this? Mom, because you need to learn discipline. Me, by turning me into a doll? Mom, by helping you become something better. Something softer.
Kinder.
Controlled. Me, this isn't normal. Mom, neither is ruining my wardrobe and acting like you did nothing wrong. I'd say nothing, because part of me knew she was using it as an excuse. But the other part, the deeper part, wondered if maybe I needed this more than I admitted. Once, I tried to resist. I shoved the wig off my head and said, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
She didn't get mad.
She simply brought out her phone and showed me a video. It was me, twirling in a pastel dress. Lipstick perfectly applied. Smiling. I've been documenting your journey, she said gently. If you don't want to continue, I understand. But the world might still see what you've become. You wouldn't dare. I wouldn't have to. But it's amazing what my clients would pay to see a real-time transformation. Your story inspires them. It felt like a threat. It was a threat, but it was working. One afternoon, she introduced a new rule. You need a name. I already have one. No, you have a boy's name. But she gestured toward me in my lilac blouse and sheer stockings. She needs her own. I rolled my eyes, but she didn't let it go. How about Jessie? It's close to Jack's. No. Juliet. Too fancy. She said, tapping her chin. How about Jamie? I didn't answer. She wrote it on a sticky note and pressed it to the mirror. Jamie, she said again softly. That name followed me for the rest of the week. She'd whisper it when applying lip gloss. She'd call me it during makeup lessons. And by Sunday, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see Jax anymore. I saw Jamie. One day, she invited one of her friends over. Mrs. Avery. Mid-60s, proper, always carried a designer purse, and wore too much perfume. I panicked. I can't be seen like this. Mom shushed me. You'll stay in character. She thinks you're my niece. Jamie. Visiting for the summer. You made up an identity? She's very traditional. She'd never understand my real son dressing this way. My blood ran cold. You told her I'm not me? She shrugged. Only because you're doing so well. It would ruin everything if she found out you were pretending. So I played the part. I sat with them, legs crossed, speaking softly. Mrs. Avery complimented my demeanor and said I had such a delicate presence. Mom beamed the whole time. That evening, she kissed my forehead. You fooled her perfectly. I'm so proud. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, because part of me was proud, too. Then came the day she said, let's go out. I froze. Out? Where? Just a short walk. I bought you a new sundress. It's flowy and modest. You'll blend right in. I can't. What if someone sees me? They won't. You're not Jax anymore. You're Jamie. And Jamie is graceful, confident, elegant. I argued for hours. But when sunset came, I found myself outside, in wedges, holding her hand like I was 10 years old again. She had planned every step. We walked 2 blocks to a small park. It was mostly empty, but I was hyper-aware of every sound, every passing car, every breeze that lifted the hem of my dress. She had even brought a parasol. Hold it like this, she instructed. Tilt your chin. That's it. Good posture. I was shaking, but I did as she said. Then a couple walked by. A man and woman. The woman smiled politely. The man barely glanced. They didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize me either. We sat on a bench and she asked, so, how does Jamie feel? I opened my mouth to say I hated it, but I didn't speak. She leaned in and whispered, you don't need to pretend anymore. You're doing beautifully. And in that moment, I stopped pretending, at least on the outside. Weeks turned into months. The house no longer looked like mine. My room was now pastel. My old clothes were boxed and stored. Every drawer contained skirts, tights, lip balms, brushes. Once, I found a folder in her desk labeled, Jamie's Future. It had pictures of hair removal treatments, diet plans, even a mock school registration for a local beauty course under the name Jamie Lynn Saunders. That wasn't my name. That wasn't my life. But it was becoming real. Too real. Mom caught me one evening, standing at the back door, dressed in my old hoodie and jeans. My hair still slightly curled from the wig cap. Where are you going? She asked softly. I don't know. Then you're not ready. For what? She walked over, cupped my face in her hands, and said, to leave Jamie behind. I stared at her, eyes stinging. I didn't choose this, I whispered. She brushed a lock of hair behind my ear.
No, darling.
But sometimes life chooses for us. That night, I didn't run. I sat in front of the mirror, staring at the sticky note that still read Jamie. And I didn't pull it down, because I didn't know if I wanted to anymore. Mom had a surprise waiting for me at breakfast. Jamie, she said, sliding an envelope across the table. You're going somewhere special today. I opened it slowly. Inside was a schedule, appointments, a salon visit, a wardrobe fitting, a photo shoot. What is this? You've come so far, she said, sipping her tea. It's time the world sees you. I felt sick.
No.
I'm not doing this. She didn't flinch. The photographer is a friend. She specializes in elegance. You'll love her studio. I'm not some project. No, you're not, she said gently. You're my masterpiece. I shoved the paper back and stormed to my room. For the first time in weeks, I looked for my old clothes.
Gone.
Every drawer. Every box.
Gone.
She had erased Jack's. I sat on the floor, heart pounding. Who was I now? What had I become? But when I looked in the mirror, I knew. I wasn't just pretending anymore. I had become her creation. The drive to the studio was quiet. I wore a soft peach blouse and a flowing skirt that brushed my knees. She had braided my hair, applied peach gloss, and slipped delicate earrings into my lobes. I didn't fight. I sat straight, crossed my legs, smiled at strangers. Because somewhere along the way, resisting had stopped working. Or I had stopped trying. The photographer, a woman named Lydia, greeted me with a gentle handshake. "So this is Jamie," she said. "Your mother's told me so much." I opened my mouth to correct her. I didn't. She led me to a makeup chair. "I want to bring out your softness," she said, brushing foundation across my cheeks. "You have such delicate features." I stared at my reflection. I didn't recognize the girl smiling back. Her lashes curled. Her lips shimmered. Her nails gleamed. But the scariest part? She looked happy. The photo shoot began. They posed me by a window, in front of silk drapes, under chandeliers. I twirled, smiled, tilted my chin like Mom taught me. Lydia snapped photo after photo. "You're a natural," she said. Mom beamed. "She's been practicing." I wanted to shout that I wasn't a she, that this wasn't real, that I didn't ask for any of it. But when I saw the previews on Lydia's camera, I didn't look fake. I looked complete. That night, Mom printed out one of the photos and framed it. She placed it on the mantel. It was me in a pink gown, smiling. The name, Jamie, written in cursive underneath. "This is who you are now," she said. I didn't answer, because part of me agreed. The next morning, things shifted again. "I've signed you up for etiquette lessons," she said casually over toast. "What?" "You need polish."
Grace.
"You're good, but we can refine you." "No," I said firmly. She blinked. "Excuse me?" I said no. A silence fell over the kitchen. She stood slowly. Then she reached into the drawer and pulled out a slim folder. Inside were screenshots.
Of me.
In dresses. In wigs. In poses.
Smiling.
"You were always worried about someone seeing these," she said softly. "Imagine if they ended up in the wrong inbox. That's blackmail." "No," she said calmly. "It's guidance." "You said this was temporary." She tilted her head. "Did I?" "You said." "I said nothing, sweetheart. You assumed." That afternoon, I sat across from Ms. Delia, an older woman with sharp eyes and a tighter bun. "Posture, Jamie," she said curtly. "Shoulders back. Chin up." I obeyed. Mom watched silently from the corner. Ms. Delia taught me how to sit, how to stand, how to speak, how to pour tea, how to smile without showing teeth. "You'll be a proper young lady in no time," she said. I felt like I was dissolving. Each lesson, each adjustment, each new rule chipped away at what was left of me. But there was no one left to tell, because Jax was gone, and Jamie had taken his place. Then one day, it all exploded. I received a message from my old friend Noah. "Where have you been, man?" I stared at the screen, trembling. I typed, "Busy." He replied, "Come out. Friday night. Everyone's asking about you."
I didn't know what to say.
Mom walked in, saw my phone, and frowned. "You can't," she said. "Why not?" "Because you're not ready." "Not ready for what? To be me again?" She crossed her arms. "You'll ruin everything." "Everything who? For you?"
No.
"For us." That word made me snap. "There is no us," I shouted. "You turned me into something I'm not." Her expression didn't change. "You became something better." "I became your puppet." "No," she whispered. "You became beautiful." I stormed out. I dressed in whatever I could find: jeans, a hoodie, sneakers. The pants felt loose, unfamiliar. The hoodie swallowed me. I walked to the corner store, needing air. No one looked at me. No one recognized me. But inside, I felt exposed. Every step felt wrong. Every sound too loud. I saw my reflection in the cooler door. Smudged mascara. Slightly curled lashes. Pink stain on my lips. I didn't look like Jax. I looked like someone trying to remember how to be him. I went home. Mom was waiting at the door. "I thought you left." "I did. And I didn't belong." She stepped forward. "Because Jamie is who you are now." I couldn't argue. Because she was right. After that night, she tightened the routine. No more jeans. No more boy clothes. Everything was curated. Morning affirmations in front of the mirror. Daily walks in heels. Voice coaching 3 times a week. Jamie became my only name. And I stopped fighting it. But then came the invitation. Lydia, the photographer, had entered one of my photos into a local showcase. Jamie's debut, she called it. I froze. I can't be in public like that. Mom placed a hand on my shoulder. "You already have." But that was pretend. Was it? I looked at the framed photo again. I couldn't tell anymore. The night of the showcase, I wore a floor-length gown. Silver heels. A pearl necklace. My hair curled and pinned. People whispered as we walked in. "She's stunning. She looks like a porcelain doll." I smiled. I bowed. I spoke gently. And when Lydia called me on stage to accept the award, I heard the applause.
Loud. Proud.
Blinding. I curtsied. And the world clapped for Jamie. Not for Jax. Jamie. That night, I cried in my room. I stared at myself, makeup streaking, dress wrinkled. I whispered, "Who am I?" Mom walked in quietly. "You're my daughter now." I looked up. "You don't mean that."
She sat beside me.
"I do. I didn't choose this. But you didn't stop it either." I stared into her eyes. There was love. Twisted. Heavy. But real. And I didn't know if that made it better or worse. Then came the envelope. "Boarding school," she said calmly. My throat tightened. "What?" "Finishing school. For girls. In Europe." "You're sending me away?" "I'm giving you a future."
No.
"It's non-negotiable." "I'm not a girl." She smiled softly. "You've been one longer than you think." I packed that night. Not because I agreed. Because there was nothing left to fight with. Jax was a memory. Jamie was a plan. And Mom? Mom never stopped. The plane ride was long.
Quiet.
I wore a soft cardigan, tights, and low heels. My nails were painted a soft pink, matching the blush on my cheeks. No one looked at me twice. Not as a boy. Not as someone pretending. Just me. A girl named Jamie, traveling alone. The school's brochure said it was nestled in the hills outside Vienna. A finishing academy for graceful development, poise, and polish. Mom had paid in full. No refunds. No escape. I arrived at dusk. The building was old stone and ivy, like a castle from a storybook. A tall woman in a navy dress greeted me. "You must be Jamie. Welcome." I nodded, clutching my suitcase. She smiled gently. "You'll fit right in." Inside, girls bustled through the halls, all perfectly dressed. Pearls. Blouses.
Braids.
Everything coordinated. I was shown to my room, 2 beds, floral wallpaper, soft lighting. My roommate arrived shortly after. Her name was Eloise. She looked at me once and said, "You're new." I nodded. She paused, then whispered, "Are you one of the special girls?" I froze. She added, "The ones who weren't always like this." I couldn't speak. She smiled knowingly. "Me too." Then she hugged me. The first week passed like a dream. Morning tea. Walking lessons. Hair practice. Social etiquette. Dancing. They taught us to smile before we speak. To glide instead of walk. To never raise our voice. "You are becoming someone precious," our teacher said. But I wasn't sure if I was becoming someone new. Or if I was disappearing. Mom called every Friday. Video chats, strictly timed. She'd say things like, "You looked lovely in the newsletter photo. Your walk has improved. Have they started you on hormone scheduling? I'd nod, pretend to smile, answer softly. She'd beam like a sculptor admiring her finished statue. You're finally perfect, she'd whisper. And I'd want to scream. But I didn't. Because I didn't know how anymore. One day, Eloise found me crying in the garden. I was dressed in white gloves, sitting under a tree, hiding behind my curls. She sat beside me. You miss him, don't you? She said. Who? Jax. I didn't answer. I miss Elian, she said. He was loud, messy, not graceful at all. I whispered, Do you regret it? She was silent for a long time, then said, Sometimes. But then I look in the mirror, and I'm not sure who I'd even be without all this. Maybe that's what they wanted, I said. For us to forget. She nodded. But I haven't. Not completely. We made a plan. Late one night, under the covers, Eloise whispered, There's a file room. Top floor. Hidden behind the east stairwell. Locked. But I've seen the key. What's in there? Applications. Histories. Real names. Maybe a way out. My heart raced. She smiled. If we know what they took from us, maybe we can take it back. That night, I didn't sleep. Jax whispered in my dreams, calling from behind glass. 2 nights later, we made our move. Eloise faked a headache and slipped out early from ballroom class. I followed 20 minutes later. The halls were dark, quiet, our heels silent on the carpet. We reached the east stairwell, climbed to the top, found the panel behind the wall, just like she said. The key? She'd taken it from our chaperone's belt during dance. We opened the door. Inside, files. Cabinets. Hundreds of them. We opened one labeled 2023 intake. There were photos. Before and after. Birth names. Progress logs. Psychological notes. I found mine. Jackson Elwood. Age. 19. Mother. Lena Elwood. Initial resistance. High. Compliance phase. Moderate. Projected identity completion. 94%. New name. Jamie Lynn Saunders. Projected occupation. Aesthetic specialist or influencer. Emotional dependence on guardian. Confirmed. Recommended treatment. Continuous feminine immersion. Hormonal plan. Delayed until full behavioral acceptance. I felt sick. Treatment. They're training us, Eloise whispered. Not teaching. Not guiding. Programming. Look at this, I said, pulling out another file. It wasn't a student. It was a staff member. Before, bearded, strong, masculine. Now, Miss Delia, our etiquette instructor. I stepped back. Eloise pulled out more. Every teacher, every matron, all changed, all chosen. My hands shook. What is this place? She looked at me. A factory. We made it back without being seen. But the next morning, something was wrong. Everyone was too quiet. At breakfast, the headmistress stood and made an announcement. There has been a security concern. A breach. All students will remain in their quarters after class. All visits suspended. All calls canceled. I caught Eloise's eye. She mouthed one word. They know. That night, our room was searched. The files were gone. Our drawer was open. Nothing was said. But the next morning, Eloise was gone. They told me she had been transferred to a special program. I never saw her again. Mom called again that Friday. The video quality was bad. Her face pixelated, but her voice was clear. I heard what happened. I stayed silent. I warned you not to resist. I didn't do anything. Her voice hardened. Jax, listen to me. She hadn't called me that in months. You don't get to decide anymore. You had your chance. You said this was for me. It is. No, I said. It's for you. She stared at me, then hung up. The screen went black. The next morning, the headmistress summoned me. I was led into a quiet room. Pale walls. A single chair. She sat across from me. You've been selected, she said calmly. For what? The final phase. I swallowed hard. What's that? A complete life transition. She handed me a paper. It listed a new home, a new name, a sponsor. My sponsor? Lena Elwood. My mother. She was taking me back, but not as her son, as her daughter.
Permanently.
I tore the paper. She didn't flinch.
You can fight, she said.
But the program always wins. That night, I stared out the window. The moonlight painted the garden silver. I thought of Eloise, of Jax, of the boy I used to be, of the girl I had become. And I wondered which one was still real, or if they had both been erased. I made my choice at dawn. I slipped out of bed, dressed quietly, wrote a single note. Then I climbed to the roof. The wind was cold. I stood on the edge, not to jump, but to feel something real. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Jamie, a voice called. I turned. It wasn't staff. It wasn't a classmate. It was Eloise.
Alive.
Her hair chopped. Her dress torn. Her eyes burning. They're coming for you, she said. We have to run. Where did you go? They tried to erase me. But how? No time, she said. Come now, or be lost forever. I took her hand, and we jumped, not from the roof, into the unknown. The camera cuts to black. Silence. Then a final line on screen. Did Jamie escape, or fall into something even deeper? End of story. Thanks for watching. If Jamie's journey moved you, leave a comment below. Tell us what would you do if your identity was rewritten? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.